As we move into the top of the second inning of play, there will be batters number
5, I think it is, Randy.
5, 6, and 7 in the order. Eric Blunt, Brian Ware, and Jeff Burrows to face Greg Kempiste, who came up with 3 strikeouts in the top of the first. Struck out Matt Tanner, struck out Mike Pastore, and he also struck out Big Tom Dugas. So it'll be Blunt, Ware, and Burrows to face Kempiste. We talked about an 8-team double elimination tournament. We said there were other locations and other age groups. Well, this is the 10 and under. That is the youngest age group. There's an 11 and under age group. Their competition is being held in Marion, Ohio from August 14th through the 18th. 12 and under being held in Linthicum, Maryland, not too far from the folks here at Perry Hall. That's August 6th through the 11th. 13 and under in Marion, Ohio, August 14th through the 18th. 14 and under is being held in Kirkland, Washington. The date's there August 16th through the 25th. 15 and under being held in Marion, Ohio, August 7th through the 11th. And we'll pick up from 16 on up a little later on in the ball game. Let you know where those are all taking place. 11 different age groups. I'm sure, Dave, when you were playing baseball in your earlier years, you would have really loved to have a format like this where you don't compete with someone who is perhaps 2 years older than you. It's someone who is exactly your age within probably 12 calendar months.
Yeah, it's a nice setup for them. As you say, it keeps the competition level close to the age group instead of playing someone 2-3 years older, which is going to be quite a difference.
0-1.
Eric Blunt takes a strike. The count 0-1 on Blunt. Blunt came into the tournament batting .459, going 28 for 61. 1-1. Our position, perhaps you can notice behind home plate in one of the shots, we are directly behind the screen. So we'll make sure our hair looks nice throughout the ball game. Here comes the 1-1 from Kempiste. Right field, and a great running catch made by the Orioles right fielder, Keith Irby.
1 down.
Keith Irby had a beat on that ball from the word go, came in on that and made the catch. And there's one out here in the top of the second.
Key to that was, Randy, got a nice jump on the ball.
So that's F9 if you're scoring at home with one out. That brings up right fielder number 20, Brian Ware. Ware came into this tournament with a record
1-0.
pretty remarkable on the mound that we'll go over a little later, and with a batting average of .620. And Brian, another gentleman who's not small, I guess you'd say, Dave, for 10 years of age.
Good size boy.
Ball low. 2-0 now. The count on Brian Ware. On deck, third baseman number 25, Jeff Burrows. There's a strike, 2-1. Outfield, too, we'll see, Dave, from most of these players will play straight away.
Yeah, really the only person I think that's moved is the center fielder a little bit. I've been watching.
Here's the 2-1. Count is even now, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Kempiste, again, is nice and smooth out there. He's not laboring. He seems to have a real rhythmic motion, and he's getting the ball over the plate most of the time. That's what counts.
We're at the top of the second inning of play. Sterling Heights, Michigan leads Perry Hall by a score of 1-0. The count even now with 2 balls and 2 strikes. We hope you're enjoying this game, whether you're watching it in Columbus, Ohio on coaxial communications, in Perry Hall, Maryland, or in Sterling Heights, Michigan. For those of you not familiar with any of the locations, we're in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, and Kennedy Park. Reynoldsburg about 12 miles due east of downtown Columbus, and what a beautiful location it is for this 10 and under World Series. The count is now full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. For those of you not familiar with Sterling Heights, Michigan, that's approximately 15 miles northwest of Detroit. They tried to convince me earlier that it was 15 miles northeast of Detroit, and I said if it was 15 miles northeast of Detroit, you'd be representing Canada.
It's true. Probably.
Okay, Brian.
Liner just fouled on the third base line.
That'd be Windsor, Canada. Yeah, betcha.
They'd be in Windsor, Ontario.
Count the same. 3-2. Full
foul by about 2 feet, Randy. If that had been on the line, he had a double out of that one.
And, of course, Perry Hall, located just north of the Baltimore area by about 15 miles. That one's foul out of play, and once again, we talked about this earlier. This isn't the major leagues, Dave, but we're seeing a situation here where we see right fielder Brian Ware really fouling off and
he's a pretty tough customer up there.
Challenging Greg Campisti. Inside, that's ball 4.
Ball 4, walking. Number 25, Jeff Burrows.
1 walk, 3 strikeouts so far in the game for Campisti. That brings up third baseman Jeff Burrows. Talking about another manager-son combination. We have one right here in the person of Jeff Burrows. His dad, Ray, the manager. Bluffs the bunny, called for a strike. Ball rolls all the way to the screen, and the runner advances to second. And I think we've got an injury because on that play, the catcher, Doug Essler, took that ball right on his right hand and took that on his fingers. Check that, it's on his left hand.
Yeah.
And he seems to be holding it.
I don't know what might have happened unless he had his finger stuck out of the back of the glove and it might have hit his finger, but it looks like the whole hand he's concerned about.
And the crew and staff from Sterling Heights checking out their catcher right now. It is an interesting situation to have a finger that might be jammed or hit by a ball, especially when you're right-handed naturally and you're wearing the mitt on your left hand.
Yeah.
He does keep his finger out.
Yeah.
He does keep one finger out. Mayor Francis, sounds like you've played some ball in your time.
Used to be a catcher in high school, yeah.
You probably would have loved the situation to have a chance to play with a different age group every year and work all the way up through high school, in fact, through college and through unlimited. To short, to third, and the ball goes through. Here comes the runner around third, attempting to score. The throw to the plate, and it won't be in time. The runner from first down to second. Now he rounds second. He's taking a look at third. He goes halfway, bluffs. The throw is wild down the left field line. Here comes the runner around third. He's going to try to score now. The throw to the plate will not be in time. And a 1-0 lead for Sterling Heights has turned into a 2-1 lead now for Perry Hall. So on that play, that was a ground ball to short. Danny Wise fielded the ball, decided to go to third, threw it a little high to Chris Stefani. Let's take a look at that one more time, and what might have been an out turns out to be 2 runs instead. There's the ground ball to short. Wise gobbles it up, goes to the Stefani at third. The throw a little wide and high. Now he picks up the ball now. It does not go out of play. Tries to throw to the plate. That goes wild behind the catcher. And the throw back to Stefani at third goes to left field. And the runner from home plate came all the way around to score. So scoring on the play was not only Brian Ware, who got on via the walk, but Jeff Burrows, who hit that ground ball to short. So now it's 2-1 in favor of Perry Hall.
Randy, I think what happened on that play is that the shortstop decided at the last second to go to third base with the ball, which he should have done. The runner on second made a base running error by going from second to third, and the ball was on the left side infield. And the shortstop, as I say, discovered that right at the last second. I think he might have surprised the third baseman and tried to hurry the throw, and that started the ball rolling, so to speak.
One down here in the top of the second. That brings up center fielder Danny Brown. Danny came into the tournament batting an aggregate .433. The interesting thing about Danny Brown is earlier today we talked about the fact that this Perry Hall team had to defeat Fresno to make it to the championship game. They did so by a 6-2 score. And Danny Brown very effective pitching the 4th, the 5th, and 6th innings. And I tell you, you want to talk about ice water in his veins. This gentleman out there in the 6th inning threw 14 pitches. They were all strikes.
That's pretty consistent, isn't it?
There's a strike. Speaking of strikes, 3-1 the count right now on Danny Brown.
Talk to anybody who knows anything about baseball and pitching. It's getting the ball over the plate, throwing strikes is the name of the game.
And especially on the level we're talking about here, Dave.
Well, even in high school, we've got some kids on the high school team that I work with that they're concerned about how hard they throw and how many different pitches they have, and the only problem is they can't get them over half the time. That's not it.
And of course, being the veteran and seasoned coach that you are, in a matter of moments and perhaps at most an hour, you've cured them of that habit, correct?
Yeah.
We won't talk about records. Corey Randolph off with a strike right there. 0-1 the count, bluffs the bunt. Corey trying to go around that time and lay one down and pulled the bat back, and he's called for a strike. 0-1. The runner at first is Danny Brown. One out. Perry Hall with a 2-1 lead. That one gets away. The runner will advance down to second. The throw's going to be high and late. And the runner, Danny Brown, is safe at second base.
Second base, safely.
We'll score that a pass ball.
1-1 the count.
Ball just off the mid of Doug Essler.
Doug has a strong arm.
1-1 now on Corey Randolph. Two.
1-2.
The old high hard one.
Randolph with a .311 batting average. Interesting thing about Corey Randolph, not only his performance at the plate, is when you see him in the outfield. When he gets a fly ball hit to him, it's kind of like, it's routine. It's very seldom you see that in a 10-year-old. Normally they start to panic, perhaps just a little bit when they see that fly ball coming out there. That one's high and outside. 2-2 now the count on Randolph.
Even up on the count.
Gotta be in there. Protect yourself, Corey. Protect yourself. Contact, son. Contact. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can do it, Corey.
Sterling Heights came up with a run in the bottom of the first. We're in the top of the second right now. Perry Hall has answered with 2 runs. 2-1 the score right now. 6-inning game, the CABA 10-and-under World Series. Allen's fouled off behind us.
Back out of play.
Corey likes that high pitch, Randy.
Count stays the same.
You don't see a whole lot of Steve Garvey who likes to take that ball and just golf it down the right field line. 2-2 the count on Randolph. Matt Tanner is on deck. Here comes the 2-2 from Campiste. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Strikeout number 4 on the afternoon for Campiste. We go back to the top of the order now, and the pitcher, Matt Tanner.
Back to the top of the batting order, number 23.
Might go with the re-entry rule. You are allowed to re-enter this ball game if you're a starter. Everyone is allowed to re-enter except the pitcher. He can re-enter the ball game, but he may not re-enter on the mound.
Foul ball.
And speaking of the mound, we take a look at Campiste on the mound. One thing that he can do with that big 5-foot frame, that mound, as we said, is approximately 43, 44 feet from home plate. He really cuts down that distance between the mound and home plate.
Yeah, he looks pretty big out there to these kids, I would think.
That's out of play.
Of course, it is a flat mound, so I guess it isn't really a mound, is it?
It's just a flat pitching surface, I guess you would call it the pitching circle. I'd say you could compare it to perhaps throwing the discus or some Olympic sporting event where you have a circle to work with and you're allowed to work within those limits.
There might be trouble.
Shortstop going back, Wise makes the catch. Nice play by Danny Wise for out number 3, but in the inning, Perry Hall answers with 2 runs at the end of 1.5 to score. Perry Hall 2 and Sterling Heights 1. Well, Mayor Francis, I know you had to hear a lot of comments about the success of last year's 12 and under tournament. Have you heard anything about this year's success of the 10 and under tournament here in Reynoldsburg?
Randy, I didn't get back into town till Friday morning, but I've had 2 calls from my office Friday expressing how nice it was here. And it was from some of the people that had evidently lost in the tournament and was headed home. So when I get those kind of calls, people that spontaneously call, I really like that. So obviously everybody's doing a good job.
Engaging from the reaction of the people that are still here, it looks like Reynoldsburg could be a home for another CABA World Series, perhaps a different age group come next year.
We would certainly look forward to having them here.
And speaking of other age groups, let's recap the higher age group divisions and the World Series and where they'll be held this particular season. The 16 and under will be held in Waukegan, Illinois, August 14th through the 22nd. The high school tournament was already held July 3rd through the 7th in Chillicothe. The 18 and under World Series was held August 8th through the 13th in Columbus, Ohio. The college was held August 20th through the 25th. You still have time to see that if you're in the Midwest, in Youngstown, Ohio, and they put on a great tournament up there. And the Unlimited will be held right here in Columbus, Ohio, August 29th through September 1st. Check that out.
Randy, just had a question here. Do you know how they decide on the different sites for the different age groups?
That's a good question, and I tell you, a gentleman that we'll get on later in the program here to answer that could be Ron Golden, the president of the Continental Amateur Baseball Association. I know if you take a look at the official handbook, there's pictures of the various cities and a little background on them, and they talk quite extensively about Reynoldsburg and how successful it was last year with the 10 and under, correction, the 12 and under tournament last year. And we'll talk to Ron. We'll get him in a little later, and perhaps he can clarify that for everyone at home. We move into the bottom half, the second inning of play. Leading off is pitcher Greg Kempisti, and he's 2-0 right now. Matt Tanner on the mound. Now, Matt started that game yesterday against Columbus. There's a strike in there, 2-1.
2-1.
Tanner with a record of 4-0 before yesterday's game and thrown in 40 innings, giving up 51 hits and striking out 34. Ground ball to second, scooped up the first in time. Nice play made by second baseman Mike Pastore, no relation to Frank, over to first baseman Tom Dugas for out number 1.
We've got quite a few left-handers in this final championship game, Randy. I think this is at least the 4th or 5th one I've seen.
Take a look at this one more time. Kempisti hits it to Pastore, perfect position, takes his time here for out number 1. That's one thing you'll see so often on those infield ground balls. The infielder has plenty of time, Dave, but they'll panic so often and throw the ball too soon. But that was a good job by Pastore. 2-0 the count now on center fielder Jimmy Kerr. Kerr noted for his speed. He can catch anything that's hit anywhere near him in center field, according to Frank Teodecki. Perhaps we've got a possible Rick Manning here in a few years. A lot of times you'll see him in the leadoff position. Lays down a bunt, a nice bunt down the first base line, drags it, and he's going to be safe in there.
He's in there.
Perfect position. He really made Tanner come off the mound and go after that ball. And as he went down the first base line, I think he went into the first baseman. And we're going to have to take a look right now at first baseman Tom Dugas, because as he went down the line, Jimmy Kerr slid into first base, and the ball came in at the same time, and they're checking over Tom Dugas one more time. This is a perfect drag bunt, Dave, down the first base line.
Well, he squared around a little bit on it. Kerr did a good job of sliding into first. There's really only one time you want to slide into first base as a hitter, and that's to avoid a tag, and he did that, and that may have saved him in that particular time at bat.
This might sound a little silly, but I think the problem there was as Kerr went into the first base bag, he slid head first. The ball came in at the same time, and we had so much dust and dirt flying around that I think he just had some dust and dirt in his eyes.
Could be, yeah.
All right, get that first baseman a hand. He's going to stay in there.
So credit Kerr with the single. 1 out, 1 on here in the bottom of the second inning of play. That brings up third baseman Chris Stefani.
13, Chris Stefani.
Chris has really come on late for this Orioles team. Done a good job at third base. And the team quite often relies on his big bat to win. The runner is safe. That one got away. And the runner advances. Kerr is safe down at second base. We'll score that one a wild pitch.
Yeah,
Stefani's on-base percentage so far this season is .524. And we have time call. Runner at second now. 1 out here, bottom of the second inning of play. And joining us at the end of this half inning will be Ron Golden, and perhaps he can discuss the process that a location goes through, a city, a municipality, to host one of these tournaments. Nice play at third, across the diamond, in time for out number 2. The runner advances to third. A great play down at third base by Jeff Burrows. Love that ball. Backhand, turned around, righted himself, and got it to first base in plenty of time to nail the runner. And let's take a look at that one more time. Look at this play. He gets up, one knee across the diamond in time, and he got him by about 5 steps. But on the play, Kerr advances from second to third.
That's about the nicest play you see anybody making third base.
And you just increased the size of the diamond a little bit, and you're talking about a major league play right there. That one gets away, but the runner will hold at third base. 5-3 if you're scoring at home. Brings up the catcher, Doug Essler.
Another left-hander up here.
Loading it up from the left-hand side. And there are a couple of left-handed relief pitchers, one for each team, that we might have the opportunity to see in this game, too. We'll see what happens as this game goes on. We're in the bottom of the second right now. Perry Hall leading Sterling Heights by a 2-1 count with 2 outs. They have a runner on third base. And in just a moment, we'll talk with Ron Golden. In fact, let's see if we can get Ron Golden in right now. Ron, a lot of people wonder, how can our city, how can our municipality host a particular age group tournament? Is there any process that they have to go through?
Yes, there kind of is a process, Randy, and basically it boils down to a financial commitment. By that I mean a host group has to say, we are interested in bringing a tournament to our city, and then they have to understand that there are certain expenses that they will have to incur, from umpires' fees to awards to baseballs.
Miner right back to the mound there. A great catch made by Matt Tanner for out number 3. So Essler hits that one right on the money. But F1 if you're scoring. I'd give that an L1 the way I score for the third out of the inning. So Sterling Heights threatens but does not score, and we've played 2 complete. Perry Hall 2, Sterling Heights 1. Once again, Ron Golden speaking into the guest mic. I hope you can hear him at home. We're having a little trouble hearing him. Ron, go ahead one more time.
Okay, then the other thing that we try